Welcome to the Waylight. There is a consciousness in the society. This can be called as a common consciousness. Since the people are living together, a kind of consciousness is being produced from each person. And this can be called as common consciousness. Sometimes this deviates from God's precepts. Sometimes it goes in parallel with God's precepts. And most of the time, when we are living in the society, we will have to maintain a kind of consciousness. We will have to understand and move according to our consciousness that is built up by Jesus' teachings and Jesus' precepts. At the time of Jesus was making the disciples. Jesus was building a kind of proper consciousness within the heart of disciples. Jesus' disciples were moving with Jesus wherever Jesus goes. Wherever Jesus goes, the disciples were with him, and they knew more and more about God's love. Through the teachings of Jesus and Jesus' preaching, they came to know the love of God, and thus they were building up a proper consciousness within them, and they were molding a kind of consciousness. And Jesus was specifically moving them in a proper manner and in a proper way, in the proper channel. When we come to today's gospel passage, we can see and understand that certain times the disciples were thinking as the society thinks. That's why when Jesus spoke about his death and the resurrection, they were not pondering upon these aspects, certain illuminating aspects, but they were thinking about the worldly pleasures. They were after the power and possession. That's why when Jesus reached Capernaum, Jesus asked them, "What were you arguing on the whole way?" Then the disciples were silent. The disciples were silent. Why? Because within their mind setup, they knew that what they had done is wrong. That's why they were silent before Jesus. They were hearing a lot of preaching and the teaching from Jesus Christ. They knew about the love of God and how the love of God acts in the society. They knew about it. That's why they were silent before Jesus Christ. They knew that whatever they thought, whatever argued upon is wrong. And from that we can understand there is a kind of morality within them. Once a famous philosopher, Immanuel Kant, he said, "There are two things awe me the most: the starry heaven above me and the moral law within me." There are two things awe me the most: the starry heaven above me and the moral law within me. There's a kind of morality in each one of us, a kind of consciousness, the voice of God. We have to understand that particular thing. Jesus came in order to build up that consciousness. Jesus came in order to make us to understand that the law of God is written in our heart. The law of God is written in our heart. when we understand more and more about God, When we pray every day, God will work, and this particular morality within us will modify us and will lead us in a proper channel. That's what Jesus wanted to say. And towards the end of gospel passage, we see that Jesus called a child and took him and kept on his lap and said, "You will have to become like this innocent child." Within the inmost heart, there is a child. The inner consciousness, there is a child. Jesus is always with us, and there is a kind of inmost consciousness. There is a morality within our heart, that is the innocent child. So let us build up, let us give heed to God's words, let us give heed to the inmost heart, our own inmost heart. There God whispers. May God bless us all.